Oh, hello everyone, this is EC the Gamer, and here is the final thoughts slash review of JAT 3. It has been some time since I wanted to do this to just finish the game itself. With this, it's just the end of it. Uh, then you will continue to see more of Jack X, but yeah, after finishing JAT 3, one thing, you know, this is not the first time that I played this game. I've been telling this since I've started playing on the channel the Jack and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. This haven't been my first time, I think pretty much for a lot of people, it's not the first time that they play this game because if you had a PS2, a PlayStation at that time, this had to be one of those games that you would play, especially if you like the Naughty Dog games. Uh, but this one, uh, I always struggle with which one is better. I feel that Jack and Daxter was a great beginning for the series, but I think Jak 2 definitely put the series in a different level. And this one, it pretty much just continue uh, from that greatness that was Jak 2 to this one. So it's sometimes hard to say which one is better between Jak 2 and Jak 3. But let's just focus a bit on the story. This game when it starts it has a very incredible premise with the theme that Jak was exiled from Haven, which is it's a shocking moment for anyone who's played this game, because after playing the second game, you would think it would just be another adventure, but no, it's something. This game, when you see the story overall, it's weird. I think it has a bit more of a darker tone than Jak 2, but at the same time, it got a bit lighter with the design of Jak. When it comes to the design of Jak, I think the third game was much better than the second one. But in terms of the story, I always felt like Jak 3 was much darker, because essentially the game started with the destruction or near destruction of Haven City, especially how we knew it. And after you spend so much time playing the second game, you get accustomed to Haven City, and suddenly it's completely like a shadow or something of the past. It's not the same. But they were able to bring some very interesting twists in this game. The villain at the end, that is Errol. I think I love him more when he was in the like a side villain or something like that. In the one of those minions in the second game, I like him more in that than being like this villain, because I don't know, he was just your typical, want to get vengeance for what happened to him, which essentially was his fault. I mean, I don't think. I remember he just went into these barrels of dark eco and they exploded, but that was his own fault. In fact, I think it was because he lost or something. He lost the race, and he just got mad and he just attacked us. So that's essentially what happened to him. So as far as the villain, uh, in his case, I really much didn't like him. The Dart Makers, they were an interesting concept, but they never delved much deeper onto them. Although they did, the game was able to show us a much. I don't know. It was very interesting, the fact that these beings have been with this battle between they have been in a battle between the Precursor for many years now. So that idea was really cool, but we never saw it delve deeper into it. So I wish they would have done that. So as far as the story, and the characters, even the new characters that they brought were really great. What was the name? was it seen? Is it the monk that is in the city in the desert? That was a really nice new character. The leader of Spargus, I think that's the name of the city, also was another amazing character, especially him. Cleaver, he was the kind of guy that you pretty much you hate, but it is what it is. I love that we got a bit more time with Zeke this time. You know, Zeke was an amazing character in the second game. It doesn't matter when it's just he's another. Just having more time with him is just great. I mean, if they could make a game of that guy, and I would be okay. As far as if you have seen, this game has something very interesting. Is that they actually added a new city. The first game was focused on Haven and everything that was surrounding it, like the forest, the slums, the mine. There was this platform in the sky, so so they were focusing on Haven specifically. This time around, I don't know if Spargus, if the desert is part of Haven. I think it is close to Haven, but I don't know if they consider it a part of the city, like of the territory. But this time around, they actually had two cities. One that was the city in the desert and Haven. Sorry about that, guys. But yes, the city in the desert, Spargus. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong the name, but it was very. I like that everyone in this city, if you mess with them, it's not like Haven. You fight civilian, you attack a civilian or something like that, and really nothing happens. It's only when you fight the Crimson Guard that's when you get into trouble. But in that city was different. And like everyone has a gun, everyone. So you had to be on your manners there, on your good manners, because you can get into trouble fast. The desert is really big. I mean, when you consider it's really big, although it doesn't have a lot to do in it, apart from the side quest. Like, there's no, I mean, it is a desert, but my whole point is like, it would have been cool if they have a village on the desert, a nomads or something like that, I don't know. But other than that, the desert was really cool, especially the environment, how it changes. But then Haven, when you go into Haven, that for me has always been controversial, at least for me, because I remember when I was younger and I played this game, I actually had the guides of the Jack 2 and 3, like the actual guidebook. So, and there's a map of the city, and I always went with compare the two books, the two maps, and I would say, when you look at it very carefully, the Haven in Jat 3 is simply not the same Haven of Jat 2. At least, maybe I'm not an expert, or maybe I'm just wrong, but the dimensions and the size of the city is just different. Now you must understand, Haven had a big event, like a cataclysmic event, where the tower, Haven, the palace, it went down. Now, if this was a normal palace, like just a tower, it wouldn't have caused as much trouble. The problem with as much damage, but the problem with the palace in Haven is that you must understand that it is this giant tower with this big platform, like really big, and then that platform, that palace, it has like, let me see, it's like I think they have more than 3 towers in the ends of in the walls of the city, like where the limits of the city goes, in those walls, and those towers essentially have these long cables holding the palace, to I assume for stability or something like that. So when the tower went down, those towers, I think most of them, they went down with the palace. But not only that, remember I talked about some large cables, so those cables just went down. So the damage in the Haven City was pretty big, like really big. It was devastating, like. And then not only that, you then have the city divided between pretty much factions. You had the metalheads, the surviving metalheads. They took a piece of the haven, which was the agricultural area, I think. The the Crimson Guard box, the machines took part of. They have this platform in the sky, and I think they were in the industrial area, where you have the portal to go to the mine. So they have that area pretty much for them. And then you have the Haven citizens and the Crimson Guard. I don't know if they changed the name, but the Crimson Guard police, you have their territory divided between the port and New Haven, which is it was the slums. I think they fixed it, they modernized it, so they have that place and that. But then they have the Crimson Guard box in between, and then you have like a death zone that is essentially for the metalheads. That is the Colosseum and other areas. But like when you see the map, I remember the first time that I saw it, I was like, what the hell happened here? But I mean, the first scene was very epic, the opening of the game. But then when you see it, you really can't believe it. Like the level of destruction that the Haven City had. So it was really cool that what they did with Haven. But at the same time, I think the that liveliness that the city had was lost because there was not a lot of citizens, but there was a lot of war. So the city was more, I don't know, it was more active in terms of battles. You could actually be constantly fighting, but at the same time, it lost that bit of a liveliness that the people just going in their vehicles were moving around. They lose that, but they don't lose it completely because the port and New Haven City essentially they still have a bit of a dynamic of the citizens, so it's not lost. It's just that it was reduced considerably. So yeah, as far as the story goes, you saw the ending. It's really interesting how the precursors were actually the goddamn what do you call them? The furballs, the doctors. Doctor is actually now essentially a deity. And Jack said no. He didn't want to go with the little rodents. So yeah, he decided to stay, which is cool. I think it makes sense. Yeah, it was a pretty much happy. It was a bit of a sad ending. The time travel in this game always has been confused because, from what I understand, Jack is the guy called Mars. That's the real name of Jack, Mars, which essentially is the guy who created Haven City. But the way he created it, I never understood that part. Like, how the hell who is? Because you understand that Jack. The one thing that we discover in the second game is that when Jack goes into the portal that brings him to Haven, to the future essentially, he actually meets the young boy. That at the end we discover that he's a younger version of Jack. And the way it goes is that he goes with, what was the name of the green sage, Samus, something like that. He goes with him to the past to train, to prepare himself for the events that are going to happen in the future, which is interesting because he never, the green sage never tells anything to Jack, and from I understand it's because he forgot or something. But yeah, that little boy was actually Jack. He goes into the past, and essentially it's like a repeat of everything because it had to happen, so that the future that we went through actually happens. So yeah, I had to assume that boy, because it always confused me, like actually becomes Mars, and like he, like I don't know, these two versions of Jack is so weird because this is the Jack that goes into this timeline is like he's not Mars, like at least the one who founded it. That guy is already dead. So I always ask myself, who the hell is the little boy? Like, you know, that's time travel. I really don't give a lot of thought on it because it's just there's never a real or a right answer. By the way, you know, it has a really good ending. You know, a happy ending. It's the third game. Essentially, it should have been the last one, but they actually did the one that I'm playing now, Jack X, and then they actually did a last one that was uh, what's the name? I always remember it's the Lost Frontier or the Last Frontier, something like that. And that was the last game, which I actually enjoy. But unfortunately, I don't know why they never make another one, which is weird because Ratchet and Clank they still make more games of them, but Jak and Daxter's just I don't know lost. They don't want to make more. I don't understand Naughty Dog. I think in their point of view, you know, they are now focused on doing much more mature games, which I really don't like because look at Insomnia. They have made Resistance, they made Spider-Man, they made Ratchet and Clank, but they still making games. They're willing to go to even the things that they make in the past. So I think it's just about willingness to do the game or to give it to someone else. I don't know, but that's just my personal thoughts of that part. One thing that I will say about this game that they actually, I mean, it's not an improvement. It's just another bonus is that they added new weapons, and I mean there are like the first game it was only 4 weapons. You know, the shotgun, the blaster, the Vulcan, essentially it's the machine gun, and the other was the Peacemaker. I think that was the name, and that which is the best weapon in the game. Although I love more the one that Sig has. That's really the one that is awesome. But this time they added 2 additional weapons per the main weapon. So there's actually 3 for the red gun. So there's 2 additional ones for the red gun, 2 for the blaster, and so forth. So what we're talking like more than 12 weapons, right? Yeah, like 12 weapons I think we have in total. So yes, it's a pretty much a new addition, and a lot of them are good, especially the blaster. The second version I love the most, which is the reflected shots where you shoot at the walls and it just bounce all over the place. That's one of my favorite ones. And the Peacemaker is just crazy, especially the third version. It's like a nuclear missile, and you literally throw that missile and essentially it just blankets the whole screen. You can't see anything when they finally let you see in the screen. It's just like a mushroom cloud that you can see. So that's it's just a weird thing, but I like that they did it. And the Vulcan, I think the Vulcan has the 3 additions are all great, so there's nothing really to tell there because they're all great. The red one actually is the third version, that is the grenade launcher. That's actually a really good one. And then we have the dark and light Jak. And in the second game we only have Dark Jak, which is the version where he becomes like this dark warrior. This time around they make a light warrior, which is not powerful, but it has a lot of beneficial abilities, like being able to heal yourself, fly. He has these weird wings like an angel, so that kind of thing. So it was a really cool addition that they make, that balance between light and dark. That Jak, since the second game, he has been struggling a lot. That's one cool thing about the game, you know, that they actually still continue with that. The struggle that Jak has been having since the second game, since he was a minister with Dark Eco. So yeah, now there was a nice balance of light and darkness. And yeah, the last boss in the game, you know, it interesting. I said before, I would have loved to see more of the dart makers. Imagine that battle being like multiple, at least another one or two or more of those dart maker tanks. That would have been really cool. Uh, but you know, it is what it is. I really am not going to criticize for that. Uh, Character's great. I mean, this is just a continuation of like another. You know, there's really not a lot. This time around, I'm not going to separate this like final thoughts first and review later because it's all about the review. So let's see, what more can I say? I don't want to make this extremely long because there's really not a lot to tell. You know, it's just a great game. But what more can I say? There's really not a lot. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If I were to give it a score, so I went and looked what were my scores for the first and second game. The first I gave it an 8, and the second I gave it like an 8.5, so it was a bit much longer. This one I still going to stick with an 8.5. I can't give it the 9 because of some issues that I have, but like some people say that this game was much better than the second. I can argue that. I think both games are great at the same level. It was just like continuing the greatness of the second to the third one. That's pretty much it for me. So yeah, final score would be an 8.5. Said before, I love the Jack series. Hopefully, I don't know, in the near future now they make another game. I don't think so, but I mean, because Naughty Dog at this point they are doing The Last of Us and Uncharted. Those are their main games, but they haven't told us if they have what's the next plan for them. I mean, they're talking about making a remake of The Last of Us, the first one, which okay, I don't know why is the necessity of that, but the other is a multiplayer, which The Last of Us Part 2, which that one makes sense. That multiplayer was very underrated, so I can understand that part. But I mean, the only things that I can think of that either they make a new IP, something sci-fi. I think they had to do like a sci-fi IP. I think that's the one thing that they haven't done. But they have a bit of it with the Jack series, but I don't think I've seen them do something like that. So I mean, Uncharted and The Last of Us, they look similar, but I mean they're different. One is much a survival horror, that kind of the type of game, but either they make another Uncharted, which I want them to make another Uncharted with the daughter. But if they don't make it, I don't have any problem. I think they finished that story really well. The other thing is The Last of Us Part 3, which I don't recommend because a lot of people, I know they want to see a third part, but I don't know what it's going to be. Like, I mean, it would be cool, but which character? I really don't know. So one thing that I want is for them to go back to Jak and Daxter, or at least have a team in Naughty Dog to make it. You know, it doesn't have to be the whole team. You know, at least a smaller group or something. I don't know how it works, but hopefully they plan on doing one. But yes, it's an 8.5, guys. Really great game. Totally recommend you play them. You know, the Jak and Daxter series is really great. Sadly, they haven't continued with it. It's not because it's bad. It's just, I mean, it's not because it's bad. It's just Naughty Dog. I think they just really don't want to make it. But yeah, we'll see. That's pretty much it, guys. That's all that I want to say. I hope you enjoyed the videos of the game, and you already have seen the first part of the Jak X. I think that game is going to be it's going to be faster. Not faster. I mean like it shouldn't take me more videos than even any of the other games, like the Jack series, because it's a racing game. So unless I do pretty bad or something, that's the only way it's possible. I mean the first you saw in the first part, I recommend you watch it. I got lucky and I got a gold medal in just my first race. So yeah, uh, I don't think I was like in the first or second try, or maybe in the first try I did it. So yeah, I got really lucky there. But that's all, guys. An 8.5 for this. I think that's really nice for the game. So I'm going to leave it here. As always, don't forget, guys, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment, and yeah, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that way you can get notified of the videos that come to the channel. So as always, Easy the Gamer signing off, and I will see you on the next video.